That right there is the trucker protest happening right now in Canada, which of course the corporate media and government bureaucrats have been calling very dangerous and racist. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski here of wearechange.org, and we have a lot of very important things to talk about, especially with CNN now beating the drums of censorship as if they were sharks in the water smelling blood, just waiting to attack anyone calling out their larger hypocrisies. This is the moment that they've been waiting for, and hopefully we can quantify to, of course, correctly explain to you what exactly is happening here, along, of course, with the bigger ramifications. We're also, of course, going to be talking about the latest trucker news from Canada, as, of course, there have been massive protests that have been significantly underreported happening globally right now that are important to talk about. But before we do that, plus a lot more, we're just honestly going to jump into it because of how jam-packed today is, as just moments ago, Bloomberg News published an article that declared Russia invaded Ukraine. It went up on their homepage. It scared a whole bunch of people. And Bloomberg, of course, removed the original post and apologized for this mistake, which, according to them, was because of an inadvertent publishing of the story, which they, quote, deeply regret. Now, the original article was up for 24 minutes and shows you the tremendous amount of power that, of course, the corporate media has that they hold irresponsibly. This, as the New York Times doesn't even wait for an invasion to declare that it's definitely going to be happening, according to their anonymous Ukrainian sources. And when it comes to matters of life and death and war, the corporate media could, of course, do a lot better. Now, in a totally unrelated story, there was elements of the corporate media that was also launching a full frontal slanderous assault on the trucker protests happening in Canada, along, of course, with Canadian politicians and other bureaucrats that have successfully pressured GoFundMe to delete their grassroots fundraising campaign where money was going towards legal battles against the Canadian mandates and to support blue-collar workers of the world uniting together and collectively bargaining with the government for liberty and freedom. GoFundMe on a Friday night decided to declare that they will be confiscating the $10 million raised in donations for the truckers and reallocating it to whatever causes they see fit. As of course, the platform allows fundraising for Chaz, a left-wing Seattle protest group that took over a 6-block area in the downtown area and was also responsible for the slaughtering of 2 black teenagers. You want to raise money for CHOP that literally had segregated areas and violent altercations with the press? That, to GoFundMe, is totally acceptable. You want to raise money so truckers could go honk honk? Absolutely unacceptable. And of course, they felt a massive backlash after they declared that they will decide what they want to do with the money. They, of course, backtracked from that initial decision. They said that they will be actually giving people their money back without needing to fill out a form, as of course, a lot of people called to do credit chargebacks, which of course would have cost GoFundMe more money. Elon Musk has called this entire fiasco the work of, quote, professional thieves, and obviously this blue-collar populist protest in Canada has been negatively affected by this major decision by GoFundMe. A lot of people feel defrauded. A lot of people feel cheated. And this is why the Florida Governor, Ron DeSantis, has just announced an official investigation into GoFundMe and what led to this major decision. The trucker convoy, by the way, has decided to move to the Give, Send, Go website, which has been under a DDoS attack, but has successfully been up to where, at the moment of the making of this video, has already raised $2.8 million in popular support of these working class individuals who are protesting the lockdowns, the mandates that have, by the way, ended in many countries around the world already. As of course, Denmark, Finland, Norway, the Czech Republic, even the United Kingdom have totally dropped their lockdowns and restrictions already, as other countries have loosened them, as pointed out by the dude who looks like my dad, Bill Maher, in another very important rant against a lot of this nonsense. And in my opinion, what the truckers are asking for, it's not crazy. It's what the world is already doing. Why aren't they doing it in Canada? Well, I guess they must just not trust the science anymore, as perfectly depicted in our latest t-shirts that, of course, we have available to you on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, where, of course, you can not only support this independent media organization, but at the same time, you could also help spread important messages and notify the general public around you that they are not alone in their critical thinking. We also have Make America Honk Honk shirts, trucker hats, baseball hats, all available exclusively on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. The link is down below. Click on it right now to find out more. And I'm definitely very happy with our latest homage to the one and only great Bill Gates, which I think is my new favorite personal t-shirt. I mean, I like the one I'm wearing right now, but that one kind of takes the cake right now from my own personal perspective. And if you're looking to make friends or push away people in your life that want to control your life, this is the perfect way to do it. And if you bought a shirt or a piece of our merchandise and want to be on our store, you could also email us on info@wearechange.org. If you also have any problems, email us at info@wearechange.org. We always strive to fix and rectify any kind of problems as we strive to have the best customer service. Again, info@wearechange.org. I'm looking forward to your feedback and also, of course, your photos to be put on our website. Now, we're living in very precarious time, especially with financial calamity looming, the potential of a huge conflict between Russia and the United States unfolding in Ukraine. There's so many problems happening within our healthcare system, but with all these problems facing the world, the biggest thing that we have to talk about is a comedian that likes to talk about MMA and chimpanzees. Yes, this as CNN has just started their outrage machine against Joe Rogan and his horrible misgressions against the general public for making some offhanded jokes a few years ago, taking, of course, clips out of context as well. We, of course, had Jim Acosta and Brian Stetler trying to look as serious as they could, as concerned as they could. Look at the faces of these two as they tried to convince you that the biggest thing you should be worried about right now, in this very moment, is jokes made about 10 years ago. Look at the focus on Brian Stetler, a man who has been characterized as the eunuch many times. The worry and stress of Acosta. The blinding focus of Stetler. As Rogan said a bad word. And they go on this for segments after segments, and will so for days and days after this, and most likely weeks, as of course there was massive pressure from multinational corporations, from the Biden administration, from of course British royalty, even Barack Obama himself, a man who was pictured not looking so happy, of course speaking to his masked servants that are building his multi-million-dollar mansion in Hawaii, as of course he is mask-free, like the many other prominent Democrats that have been calling for mask mandates. Now, there's a lot to question with exactly what's happening here, especially with the fact of why is a comedian facing more scrutiny than the political leaders of this country that are figuratively sending our future down the drains? Why is there such a concerted, powerful effort to bring him down when, of course, there's so many other insensitive comedians, commentators? Why is he the direct target for all these powerful people when, of course, you have Justin Trudeau, who on multiple occasions wore blackface? You have Howard Stern, who did unspeakable things that we can't even mention or even show you a photo of on this broadcast. You, of course, also have very insensitive comments by The Rock, the Young Turks. I'm not even going to tell you what those guys did. But I'm sorry, I'm not buying this manufactured outrage that, of course, Joe Rogan is being targeted with right now. As, of course, Joe Rogan has been questioning the narrative of a lot of these same powerful institutions and people that, of course, are attacking him now. And to me, this is more about retribution than it is about any kind of care or consideration about the use of bad words. This is more of a cleansing purity attack than it is anything else to me, as of course Rogan has hosted a lot of medical professionals like Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Malone, and also recently Dr. Epstein, which some people are speculating is why, of course, he has been deemed enemy number one and under such massive attack. And let's be honest here, Joe Rogan also did a lot of crazy things, especially when he worked at Fear Factor, especially when he also just promoted the use of drugs, but that's not the issue that of course the establishment has with him. He did mention a cheap, readily available drug that was prescribed to him by his doctor, which the mainstream media and medical establishment also didn't like, and he has sincerely garnered the trust of a lot of people who of course saw him as a breath of fresh air, especially when you compare him to the disgusting, pathetic, quote, nonsensical garble released by the creatures from, of course, CNN. And this is why it was a bit disappointing to see Joe Rogan have over 71 of his podcasts deleted, which of course provided context to a lot of the major attacks against him. Now that context is lost along with these important videos. And Joe, for some reason, also decided to, essentially what people are saying, bend the knee to the establishment and also issue a very bewildering, not PR savvy apology that has essentially opened the floodgates for many more segments on CNN and MSNBC. Now, will CNN be happy that hundreds of Joe Rogan podcast episodes are deleted? No, this is only the start of it. Give cancel culture an inch and they will take away your entire existence. And that's what is at threat here, especially when it comes to the latest troubling developments with Joe Rogan. Now, why did Joe Rogan make this apology video? Was this a really bad emotional response because of all the stress and pressure that he's been under, which is understandable? Or is this someone deliberately trying to undermine his operation? Was he threatened to do this? That, of course, is all hypothetical conjecture and, of course, totally unknown as of right now. But Joe Rogan also had a lot of individuals, including The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, that of course a couple days ago said that they supported Joe Rogan. Before Joe Rogan's apology, The Rock denounced Joe Rogan and apologized for backing him. Was it this that influenced this major decision? Well, it's very hard to say, but as of course Joe Rogan is connected through, of course, a lot of people in the Hollywood community. But let's also not forget here that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, also has a history of colorful language, to say the least, making, of course, many jokes and comments that would see him canceled outright if, of course, there was more mainstream attention on it. The same goes for a lot of celebrities, again. And I think there's a reason why, of course, we're focusing on Joe Rogan's comments and not The Rock's comments, as, of course, this cancel culture has been weaponized in a way to take away dissent, critical voices that help promote informed consent, and the ability to hear two different sides of the story so you as an individual could actually make the right decisions for yourself. There's a huge war against free speech, against even just questioning authority. Those that do are under attack, and I believe should be supported. Will Joe Rogan be the same from this? How will his show be? Well, it's obviously going to be affected as I think there's going to be more moves made against him. There's going to be more hit pieces. He essentially opened the floodgates. They're most likely going to be concentrating on some of his Asian jokes and then Latino jokes, and then who knows, Pacific Islander jokes. It doesn't matter. It's not going to end here. Joe's also going to be affected by this, as of course he's going to be not the same person, not willing to make the same jokes, and it's not going to be the same Joe Rogan experience from here after this major step, I think it's fair to say, and expect more nonsense from here, as of course I think Russell Brand will be the next person that, of course, they target and go after. And this is why I've been telling everyone from 2008, speech is only going to be limited on, of course, the internet. Build your own infrastructure, build your own websites, have your own mailing lists. This is, of course, why we have LukeUncensored.com, 3 master classes, videos almost every single day, our own private members area where we get to say and do whatever we want. Will Rogan go the same way as many other alternative independent media types? I've been doing this for a number of years now. There's content from LukeUncensored.com that's available for almost 7 years now. I've been doing this for a long time. This is not my first rodeo, but this is a way where people could become somewhat uncancelable, and I hope that happens, but I think there's definitely going to be more of a bumpy road ahead moving forward for not just Joe Rogan, but for the basic concepts of free speech and questioning authority. What do you think? Let me know down in the comment section below. I appreciate your constructive criticism, your perspectives, and especially where you see this entire situation going from here. I've been doing polls on my YouTube channel, specifically asking very detailed questions, getting your opinions and perspective on things, so make sure to check that out on I think it's on our community tab. But essentially, that's just pretty much what I have to say. I love you guys. I'm going to be here if it wasn't for you guys watching and sharing these videos. This is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.